Good morning, sir. My name is Steve LeCagnan, and I am the President and CEO of the Morgantown Area Chamber of Commerce. And today we are giving City Council candidates the opportunity to address the public for 2 minutes with whatever they would like to say by way of an introduction to themselves, and then we'll ask you 5 questions, allotting 2 minutes for each answer, and then finally a closing statement to the public. So if you want to proceed to introduce yourself, we'd appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I'm Wes Nugent. I'm the 3rd Ward City Council member for the City of Morgantown, and I'm standing for re-election to advocate for good local government. That is, government providing high-quality services in demand by taxpayers and citizens at the best value and rate possible. A little bit about myself for those of you who may have not had a chance to meet me. I've lived in Morgantown my entire adult life, and for the past 14 years, I've been a resident homeowner in Morgantown in the Wiles Hill Highland Park neighborhood. I'm a 6th generation West Virginian who's proudly raising the 7th generation here in Morgantown, and my wife Carrie and I have been married for about 7 years. We have a son who's 3.5 years old, Joseph, and we're proud to have a daughter who is going to be born between now and Election Day here in the coming month. So we're really excited to be adding to Morgantown's demographics. I work with West Virginia University as a technologist. I've been here for 17 years in that career, and I serve people in the university's outreach mission who may never come to Morgantown. That is farmers, 4-H'ers, civic leaders, people out in our state who take advantage of the university's resources and put those to use in their own community. So I'm proud to use my experience and knowledge and continue my service to the city of Morgantown.
Thank you, sir. The first question we have for you concerns the transportation bill, also known as House Bill 4009, which, as you know, passed the West Virginia legislature in March of 2016. It is a priority for the Morgantown Area Chamber of Commerce to obtain voter approval of a 1% sales tax increase to improve roads and related infrastructure in Montague County. What will you do to publicly promote and advocate for voter approval of the proposed sales tax increase for this purpose, if anything?
As past chairman of the Morgantown Monongalia Metropolitan Planning Organization, I remain focused on the long-term transportation goals in our community and what's required to fund those needs over the next 20 to 40 years. As a member of the Morgantown City Council, I would continue to support and advocate the Chamber's work with various stakeholder groups to seek voter approval of a 1% sales tax for improved roads and infrastructure countywide. Structured countywide, such a tax provides for the most good to the greatest number of people in and beyond Morgantown in ways that can significantly improve our future outlook. I will say, though, in talking with stakeholders during my campaign, I'm mindful of the cumulative effect that tax and fee increases city residents and businesses have had in a short period of time over the last 2 years have had an impact. And to that point, residents and businesses can have confidence in the future that as a member of the Morgantown City Council, I would not support adding an additional 1% city sales tax on top of a countywide sales tax at this time. And if a 1% city sales tax was to be pursued by City Council in the future, I would advocate for not only reducing the business and occupation taxes as mandated, but beyond that, would support restructuring the user fee to provide greater equity.
Thank you. The second question concerns the concept of an alliance housing the Morgantown Area Chamber of Commerce, Main Street Morgantown, Sunnyside Up, the Montague County Development Authority, and the Morgantown Area Economic Partnership, as well as the Greater Morgantown Convention and Visitors Bureau under one roof in a central location in Morgantown. It is a priority of the Chamber. What will you do to publicly promote and advocate for this to become a reality?
Anytime organizations can come together under one roof, it provides an opportunities for better working together to accomplish both respective and shared goals. To that end, I support the concept of an alliance that allows civic organizations that have been named and possibly others yet unidentified to work together for the benefit of the greater Morgantown community. To remain responsive and accountable to their stakeholder mission groups, vision, and goals, I believe organizations involved in an alliance would still need to maintain individual autonomy to their respective governing boards. But The cost savings that can be realized, not to mention the informal collaboration that will naturally result, can yield great net positive effect for our community. I can say that as a member of City Council, I would advocate for City Council setting aside any realized shared cost savings that come from an alliance to better fund specific initiatives and programs that are goals that have been identified between the alliance and the City of Morgantown.
Thank you. What will you do to privately and publicly promote and advocate for the consolidation of local governments in Morgantown, Granville, Westover, and Star City into a single metro governmental entity, if anything?
As City Councilor, I have come to know many of our local neighbors outside of city limits, personally as friends, and I've developed trust in those relationships that will allow me to work with our local neighbors in the future. As municipal leaders, we must all continue building personal and formal relationships to take steps in finding shared benefits, specifically cost savings, that will lead to confidence. In Morgantown, much of the name and identity that we have is something that everyone shares. And I believe metropolitan government can be achieved within the means of what's provided in Morgantown's charter as well as state law without sacrificing individual community identities. And if the greater Morgantown community wants to pursue other avenues for finding paths to metropolitan government, I will support those efforts and put those to the Morgantown voters for their consideration. If Morgantown as a municipality is to thrive, though, I believe our city must reliably demonstrate that the city provides value in our in-demand public services and confidence in the reliability of those services. In the long term, I will say that better sharing the responsibility of our local tax burden must remain a priority for City Council if Morgantown is to remain affordable and attractive, as well as to continue a high quality of life.
Thank you. Will you publicly support the idea of using some of the money generated by Morgantown's user fee to improve state-owned roadways that run through the city of Morgantown?
To improve state roadways within Morgantown city limits, I believe the next City Council, in conjunction with our new city manager, must first work to restore confidence and trust with our state partners in Charleston. As a member of Morgantown City Council, I would support the City of Morgantown's efforts to work with State Division of Highways and other partners to make timely, meaningful improvements to city streets that connect with state routes when improvements to those state routes are made by our state partners. And if an equitable and satisfactory agreement can be worked out with Charleston, I would also support the City of Morgantown setting aside a portion of the streets-related monies to be used to make quick, immediate repairs and patches of state routes, to then have those monies reimbursed and replenished by the State Division of Highways.
Thank you. Last question. What ideas do you have to improve the economic development of Morgantown and to create activity centers within the city of Morgantown, since most of the economic development has occurred outside Morgantown city limits within the last 10 years?
Well, the city airport should be on everyone's radar right now because that's the project that has the single most potential to create not only viable airport, but long-term real economic development that spurs growth within Morgantown city limits. The potential land tracts near our city airport are on par with the acreage of Tabler Station near Martinsburg that landed Procter & Gamble recently. And Morgantown has the selling point that our city is in an apex of east-west and north-south interstates, which easily puts us in good connection with much of the East Coast and Midwest. Outside the airport, the new city council, as well as the new city manager, must remain focused on meaningful infill development that brings commercial benefits so that residents don't find themselves traveling more and more outside of the city's limits to obtain essential goods and services. Consumer trends and shopping studies conducted by Main Street Morgantown should be used by the City of Morgantown in supporting efforts not only to revitalize downtown, but as blueprints for spurring similar smaller efforts elsewhere, like in Saberton and along Pattison Drive. Given the challenges the city has experienced with implementing the 2013 Comprehensive Plan to date, I believe the City of Morgantown has to prepare a canvas for successful economic development by providing greater reliability for developers for what will fit in the box according to city code and seek to minimize the number of variances that are asked for in the process. Otherwise, City Council must continue to place emphasis on updating City Code to better reflect the intent of the 2013 Comprehensive Plan to realize more successful infill development. With more attention and focus to these areas, I believe Morgantown can remain vibrant and thrive economically, with businesses that serve our permanent and temporary residents as well as visitors. More than just economic development in the form of bricks and mortar, though, Morgantown as a community, given our young, energized base, needs to encourage greater entrepreneurship so as to become West Virginia that produces successful ideas that can be replicated across our state.
Thank you. Mr. Nugent, this is your opportunity to take 2 minutes to address the public with any other thoughts and ideas you might have concerning your candidacy.
Well, thank you, Mr. LeCagnon, as well as to the Morgantown Area Chamber of Commerce for hosting this opportunity and permitting me to engage your stakeholders as well as voters prior to this important upcoming election in the city of Morgantown. In closing, let me mention a few recent public service accomplishments of which I'm particularly proud. I fixed blue curb parking for neighbors. I've won for single-family homeowners over upzoning. I've kept polling places open and close to where citizens and voters live in our city neighborhoods. I've clarified needs and got city action for residents and stakeholders. And I've successfully bridged residents and stakeholders with police, streets, code, and other services and information. It's important for us to continue to have strong leadership at the local level that can work well with county and state partners. And I'm part of that team. Again, I'm Wes Nugent from Morgantown's 3rd Ward, and I'm asking for your vote to keep me and send me back to City Hall so that I can continue serving as your voice for good local government.